Hello everybody, welcome to another basing video, and we're gonna feature the replica nature grass and flower tufts, these three in particular, for desert bases, for sort of a darker, maybe, I don't know, quite a wasteland type theme, and then this is a little bit more of a standard forest type of a theme right here. Now these are from Armoured Wolf, and there's going to be some links in the description, so look for those. Again, these are from Armoured Wolf right here. Now, I also want to test out this. I've never used this before. I've always utilized the Woodland Scenics right here. This is the blended turf. So this is something I've used an awful lot. This one, haven't used it before. I want to see if it's any finer than this. As I look at this, I think it's a little bit finer of a texture than this, and that could be useful, well, for moss. I've used this for moss, and I think you can see that's kind of at this scale, right, at 28 mil scale. That can get a little bit dicey right there. Now I also want to use some of the woodland, no, sorry, well, also another thing from Woodland Scenics here. This is a much darker flock right here. I'm just going to open up this little case here. And this, especially on these guys right here, along with some of this is the Luke's APS ground cover. That's over here. We really use a lot of the Luke's APS stuff for a variety of things, even for constructing the bases themselves, some of their rock and gravel, really some amazing stuff. So these right here, these are 3D printed miniatures from Davale Games. We're going to use our desert tufts on those. Here we're going to try and use some darker tufts, a little bit like this. See what you're seeing right there? So we're going to see if we can get those on the Witch King here. And then we've got some of these Nazgul again, where we want to do that darker stuff. I don't think we're going to do any grass tufts on there. Try to have that sort of looking like they're in Dol Guldur or some kind of a broken whatever. Last up, another one of these Frameworks miniatures here. This is where we're going to be doing some of the, I don't know, more lively material, right? Not looking quite so starchy, not quite so dead. And again, this is part of a Twitch session. I'm actually going to be putting at least the freehand part of this video up here now very soon on YouTube, but I'll also give you a link to the Twitch session where he was painted. And I've been itching to get all of the ground cover on him. Now these are actually 3D printed bits here, these right here, and I've actually featured some of this on my Patreon videos already, but I'm going to be doing a much more extensive version now that I've printed out more of these. The shrooms are from Pelennor, and the branches are from Make It Epic, and we're going to be printing out a lot more stuff from those guys. So this is our target here, is to get all these miniatures just with some quick tufts and flock and other type things. Now what I want to get started here, I want to start out with the desert bases, which is pretty darn simple. It's just these. I had thought about doing some weathering powders as well, but I think we're just going to do the simple grass tufts and show you just how those work. Just simple application of a grass tuft. And we're going to do that next. So it's not going to get much more straightforward than this. Again, we just have to stick these tufts onto those bases, and I'm going to use this pin. Now, the bases were originally done as part of this was part of one of my army painting series. Since then, I've actually utilized some DAZ air drying clay, and I've done some basically sculpting with it also on some additional basing videos, and I have to say, really thrilled with the results. I got way more out of it than I expected. I thought it was gonna be dry and crumbly and shrink and crack. It did none of those things. It was perfect. So really impressed by it overall. So that's something you might want to give a thought to. Again, making the dunes out of the desert dry clay so easy to paint. Speaking of easy, this should be easy too. Now, I talked about these before. I've got other videos on the grass tufts. I also use these for winter tufts as well. I think these guys over here too. Now you can see what's nice there. There's some genuine difference to the sizes, and there's also genuine difference to the height. Look at how tall some of these grasses are. What you usually see standard is maybe 4 mil. you'll see 4, maybe say, and it looks like it's just a freshly mowed lawn. And every single tuft is exactly the same height. These are 2 going all the way up to 6s, and I think beyond. Actually, I think some of these are beyond 6. So that's just makes them much more realistic. And of course, we have the different sizes here. Now, I think I might go with a larger one here. We also have to figure out, okay, where do we want to position some of these? What's not necessarily super interesting is just the larger piece of cork. Now, look at how strong this glue is. This is one of the original tufts that I was sent well over a year ago, and they are still, I mean, the glue, it's amazing. Now, I'm going to just position that maybe here. 2 things about this glue. First of all, it is not really hard. Some of those glues, it basically end up with little platforms of these things. This, so I want to do another one here. See if we can use this. Let's say I'm going to put that right here. So see how that edge is sticking up right there? Now what should happen with this, and sure enough it does, you can see how that lays flat. That was a lot of other tufts. What was going to happen? That was just going to be sitting there like a weird angle like this. And I would have to do stuff around it to try, and I've had to do that with other tufts. So I guess that's why I'm kind of being so vocal about it, is I've had to deal with that kind of thing with other grass tufts. Now here, in some cases, there's some things maybe I just want to, here I'm going to maybe throw a tuft right there. I might do another one either over here, over here. And again, this is where the different sizes, and I mean genuine different sizes here. And of course, too, the fact that this can be on any angle, right? Very big deal. Here, let's try this guy now. I'm going to put one on the piece of cork here. I usually do that right around their feet because, well, you could actually save yourself some time painting a lot of detailed stuff on their, well, shoes, because not so interesting. All right, I'm going to throw another one. See, it's a little bit close in size. I'm going to throw it here because you can't really see the other one there. And again, I'm going to take that and see with the pin here. And I was able to kind of fold this around, right? So now it all lines up very well. Let's see if we can, there's a small one. This is really tiny here. I'll throw that right over here. So again, the tufts stick there very nicely. I could, again, take some weathering powders and sort of dust over some of these things. I could even put some dust on the guys there. But we're not going to do that. I just wanted to quite literally throw a few quick tufts on here. So that's about as simple as it gets, right? But that does add a little something. Little color, little texture. It kind of brings some of the tans and golds down onto the bases themselves. So there you have it. So what I want to get to next is some of these bases right here. Well, we've got a little bit of the object source lighting on them because I may actually have to paint some of the, I'm going to try and do this so that we don't have to paint the tufts, but if you do, you always can, and that's really not a problem. So let's get to these guys on their fire bases. Let's do that next. So next up, I wanted to combine here a little bit of the tufts and some of the flock, and we've got 3. Got 2 of the Witch King, and we've got this. This is another one of those Frameworks miniatures. This was actually the very first one that I painted, and we'll just go with these darker tufts right here. I use these for my Easterlings, my Candish guys. It's one of my favorites, and as you can see, color really can make a big difference. Oh, by the way, let's not forget our Luke's APS fast drying glue. I am going to do some experiments with just some wood glue, certain types of wood glue, and see how that dries. Now here again, you can see the glue right there. I could put it here. I could put it here. I'm actually going to maybe throw that over here. Now the base itself, and this is actually another one of my videos for my Patreon page. There's a combination of the Green Stuff World Mosaic Tile Texture Roller. That is from Gamer's Grass. That's a resin cast bit, not a printed bit. This is printed. This is also from Pellinor. So several different basing elements here to try and come up with something that overall, it really does set a nice stage for it, doesn't it? So I'm not going to put any tufts over here. That just doesn't seem to make any sense. I want to put them maybe where there's more broken. See, like this. Now this is actually part of the miniature. Well, there's the new Frameworks miniatures. They try to give you extras, extra, different arm options, different head options. There's another little piece right there. So very quickly, right? Establish that. All right, not too many places on here. Maybe one back here. I don't know. And I think it might have to be one of these smaller guys. Armored Wolf really does furnish you with lots of options. Maybe it's a little too small. Let's go with a little different one right there, right by the shield. So, poof, very quickly, one more. I have some options here. I think I'm not really going to put any on the stone. I think I'm going to go around maybe the skulls and this area over here. So let's find ourselves another big old chunky like so there. Got a small one. What the glue on these things is just fantastic. Look at that. The reason why that was sticking to the pin is that I pushed the pin in too far and the glue was sticking to the pin. I'm gonna go. All right, you know what? The heck with it. I'm gonna put one there by the horse's foot and then one more small one over there. Good enough. So, tufts. Put those off to the side. I've got the Luke's APS glue. I got some water. I'm gonna thin it down. This stuff, good grief, you can thin it down to practically nothing, and it has the most amazing amount of hold that I've ever really seen. Okay, we've got that set up. Good to go. Now, what I'm going to do is take this little guy. I told you about this. This is the Woodland Scenics Dark Flock, and then we've got this right here. This is the Luke's APS. I think this is the Forest Floor ground cover. There's Pine Forest ground cover. There's Forest Trail ground cover. There's so many. Footsore North America here in the U.S. and Geek Gaming. Yep, Geek Gaming. There. See that? Geek Gaming. So let's combine these two. Let's do a little combo flavor here. Let's combine this and this together. So it's dark. It's got a little extra texture to it. Maybe a bit more. All right. Something like that. Now we've got that chunky brush. And I'm going to focus on a couple of spots for sure down here. It's gotten to the point where I used to paint the bases a lot. And I would paint every stone, every rock, and it would take quite a long time to do such things. Now I just kind of go, well, I'm going to make it slightly darker. Maybe I'll put a hint of color on it. Why would I need to do more when I can just basically do, well, this? Because this is more than just the color. This adds texture. I can't do this with paint. What I just did there with that extra bit of texture, hard as I try, with paint, that's just not going to happen. And there's so many incredible options for things like this now. You see I'm kind of going right up to where the grass tuft is. Take my glue away here. And I might even just grab a little more. That forest floor cover. And let's hit it again. You know what? I might even use the dark stuff here. So there, it's not super noticeable here, but boy, it does this looks really different than the rock. More so than anything I could actually paint. And that's really the key. It's a time saver. It really is. It would be different if, I don't know, maybe it was a lesser appearance or didn't look as good, but it looks better. It looks more complete, and it takes less time. Can it get any better than that? You're saving time, and to me, it looks better. So I think you can pretty much see where all of our stuff is going there. I'm gonna just jump that down into those crevices. I'm gonna maybe use a little bit more of the darker material there. Again, tap that away, and it fills in all that area that it would have been hard to just reach that with paint anyways. Here's another spot right here. Why would I want to spend a lot of time painting that when this, first of all, is going to provide a little extra color, but now the texture of that, it's just going to look more realistic, I think anyway. I'm just going to throw some. Now there are rocks also included in that mix. I mean, they're small little rocks. Okay, there we go. And maybe just a little bit more of the forest floor right there. And that's, I think we're good with that one. So we just have one more base here. This is our Witch King on foot. Okay, maybe a little bit over here. And yeah, I don't really feel the need to put any of this where the object source lighting is, so I'm not going to have to worry about that. I have plenty of videos where I'm actually painting object source lighting on foliage, where it was actually intentionally part of the video. I suggest, well, I can say that it's easier to do that with the oils than it is with the acrylics because the oils don't have water. So they don't, well, they literally don't make your grass wilt, which is something that I've actually seen. You know what? Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to here put a little bit on the edge of this. Just a smidge of something here. That's all. That's all I feel like I need to do, and that's good enough, right? Adds a nice little dark edge to that and a little more texture. So next up, what I want to get to here, and we're going to kind of continue with the dark theme, and that's right here, but no tufts, and we're probably going to use even more of this, and potentially not the cut leaves, but just some of these broken leaves like this. So we're going to try and combine these elements together, and we're going to do that next. I want to finish off my 9 Nazgul here of Dol Guldur with a combo of what we just used, but then essentially some leaf litter. Now you've seen me use the Green Stuff World leaf cutters a million times, right? And those are fantastic. You get your wonderful little leaves and everything, but sometimes you just want ground cover out of it. Not like here is a specific leaf. So what I'm actually going to do here is going to try and take some of these, and I'm going to see if I can't sort of grind this up a little bit more even here. Make it even finer. So we don't have actual recognizable leaves. Essentially what this is made out of is the scraps. The parts of the leaf where you've kind of gotten the most you can out of actually cutting them with the leaf cutter. And there's actually so much more left over. This is fabulous for terrain, for dioramas. And I did use this in a recent diorama. Look at that. So nice, small, crushed up leaves right there. And then we've got here, let's gonna take some of this and throw that back into my little cup here. This is from our last segment. We're just going to dump some of that right into there. So I've got some leaves. I'm going to come back with a little bit more of this and a little bit more of that. So we got a little combo of stuff in there. Got my Luke's APS glue. I could also use the sand and gravel glue by MIG Ammo. That's actually pretty good stuff too. Most of it is going to be focused here on the side, but here, see, we got this dark, that little bit of dark from the cloak right next to the... here, I'm going to take this. I'm just going to take this guy here. So now we have a little sort of a pile of leaves. And then I'm also going to do a little bit of... That's the Woodland Scenics, really dark ground cover. Now let's finish this guy off here. We don't want to cover up all of the rock area. You can see we're just picking and choosing a few small areas. Oh, by the way, that's the Roman themed texture roller from Green Stuff World. Oh boy, that is... I've got actually some videos on kind of how to maximize that without using the Roman parts. So it just looks... I've actually used this for my Gondor. A lot of my sort of a Gondor Citadel Guard and the more elite guys, they are actually on this base. They're just a way to... You can kind of get rid of all of the Roman and the Latin things that are on there, and you're left with just this really nifty texture. So right here, see that break there? Now I'm actually going to turn up my light just a little bit because there we go. My other light that's usually on is not on. It's not in the picture right here. So I was wondering why that was a little bit darker. It shouldn't be. That would be why. Now here, I'm going to see if I can grab a little bit of the leaf stuff there, and now the rest of it to be filled out with this. And this is my favorite, Camul the Easterling. I did a painting video on him too. I believe that was also part of the Patreon page, and we painted a bunch of the other Nazgul on stream too. All 9 of those were done either in a video or a live session. You know what? I think I will just little something there. Yeah, just again, look at that. That little touch of brown just adds, see, it contrasts with the blue there. You don't even have to do it on every single one. I may not put the leaves on each one of these guys. May not do that. This one here, yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with just the texture on the base. Maybe I don't need to put the leaves there. I will continue with... No, you know what I will do is a little tiny bit right here, just a suggestion of it. Grab some of this. I'll do the same over here and the same over here. None of this stuff is rocket science, is it? It's fairly simple. A little thought, a little planning ahead. Can't hurt. Like right here. See, around this rock, that might just look a little bit more interesting. See if I can't just throw a couple of leaves there. Okay, good enough. And the rest, like so. So not much, just a little bit. This area here. Remember we were talking about painting, not painting, whatever. One of the reasons it's hard to see that is because it's just really not much more than the Van Dyke Brown / Indigo mix that I started out with in the pre-glaze, because it just wasn't worth trying to do a whole bunch of painting there. It really wasn't. I said, what the heck? I'll just let this do the work. Let the ground cover do some work. That's what it's there for. Here, I'm going to actually throw a little bit of the darker stuff on that. And I might just, yeah, I think I'm going to throw a little bit more right over here. And that's it for this guy. I mean, we're blasting through 7 of these. Yeah, it's either 7 or 8 of them. It doesn't get much faster than that, does it? This means that, okay, you want to do a whole army or whatever, whole units of figures, going to be a little bit easier. Now there, I think didn't quite get some of the gold that needed to be there. All right, maybe that's a little bit, it's a little heavy on the leaves there. All right, doesn't matter because we're also throwing this in there too, right? Bam, there we are. So again, a little bit of color. Look at how that, see how that contrasts with the blue that's right there, that dark indigo. All right, over here too now. Again, don't want to wipe out all of the rock everywhere. And very simple, very simple. Sometimes I will throw a little second application in there. So we got 2 more left. This one, and a much taller base, should be interesting. What I think I would like to have is almost like a cascade of the leaves. I mean, again, I don't want it to look like it's in the forest or something like that, but as a person who comes from somewhere where leaves get blown around a considerable distance, it can happen. All right, a couple leaves up there, and then a few down there, and maybe one little batch right there just to add a smidge of color to that. Okay, and here we go. Pile that in. So again, you can see a little bit of a leaf waterfall there. Let's do this again. A little batch of color there. Oh yeah, something up there. And I don't think I'm going to go with leaves. I think I'm just going to go with straight up ground cover on this. Again, a second application here. That's it. Last one. Last one here. Let's get some of our glue. So you can see again, we've got this big old rock here. Look at how I'm just painting around it. It is, I can tell you right now, it's a lot easier to do that if you've got that glue thin down. I think one of the other things that Luke he'll do is actually thin this down with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Basically, what, 70%, I guess the ISP or whatever people call it. I just call it rubbing alcohol. So a little bit of that. Now, I think out here is where I can maybe a little bit of the leaf texture there, and possibly some down over here. So again, look at, we're going kind of around that rock. Just a hint, ooh, yeah, here. Hint of a couple of leaves there, and then all the rest. What's it going to be? It's just going to be this ground cover here. And that's it. There's our Nazgul. All done. So no grass tufts, but don't even need the leaf cutter here. So let's say, I don't really know if I want to deal with cut leaves. Just take a leaf, smush it up like this, and I've used the leaves for many years now. I mean, like 10 years, and nothing decays or anything like that. They're already dried out. I mean, this is a dried leaf. It's not going to do much more than that, what it's already done. You could preserve things in glycerin. That's really more for the color, but the leaf itself should be just fine. So there's a little splash of color, a little splash of texture. Well, we're going to have a little more color on our last base. That's going to be this guy here. So we're getting into the greenery. We also get to try this out for the very first time. I really have no idea what to expect, so you're going to see it as I do, and we'll get to him next. This is going to be our last base here, and we want to emphasize some of the greens. I do see something right away, though, and I think, oh yeah, that shows up on camera. So over here, we've got the AK Interactive, the moss texture, right? And over here on this side, in this corner, we've got the blended turf from Woodland Scenics. That is a little too stark of a difference, I have to say. Now this, sometimes it's too bright of a green. I'll actually tone it down with that darker stuff that you saw me use before. That's a little bit on the blue side right there. Also, I don't think it's any finer. I think it's about the same. This is maybe a slightly finer, yeah, maybe slightly finer grind to it. maybe. I don't know. They're awful similar. This actually has more variety. That is all very much just the same color. So with something like this, again, that's maybe a little too samey. What we could even add a little bit of this. Now I'm just going to see what happens here. What adding a little bit of that does. Mix and match. So you can blend these. Oh yeah, see that already to me looks more interesting. Just how this has some multiple tones in it. Ah, I can see it. Yes, I can. I can see the multiple tones in here. So, because I've mixed stuff with this too that's almost got more of a brown, a light brown or tan look to it. So even this, for as much variety as I see on there, this, you can see that darker stuff. So that's preferred. I like that much better. I think we're still going to try and use both of these. Now what I got to do is get some of this stuff out of my way because it's kind of in my way here. So let's move some of that. This was a bit of an experiment. I've actually never really showed this kind of thing before in a video. So there you go, something new. Now we have grass tufts. What I would like to have some flower tufts, mostly because we got some shrooms here. And I'm thinking these yellow flowers here. Again, these are all from Armoured Wolf, the replica in nature. I got my pointy tool here. I'm going to start out with the flower tufts here. So again, moving some things out of the way. I might throw some of the leaves on here as well. Now I'm going to find me a nice big old flower tuft because we got ourselves a big old ogre here. Look at that. Big old flower tuft. And as you can see, the flowers, they look like it's a plant with a flower as opposed to, oh, look, we've got that same lawn with just a bunch of, I don't know, sawdust or, chopped up foam stuck on it. That's what a lot of the flower tufts look like. Now I'm going to try and focus over here. Again, where we've got our shrooms. Let me see. Look at this one. I mean, this just has so many different heights on it. Look at that. Good spot for you. Might just be right over here. Look at that. I'm not used to tufts just sticking like that. I'm used to having to take some glue or whatever and do that. Okay, maybe that's it with the flower tufts. How's about we get to some grass tufts here? Now I'm going to maybe get some smaller ones. And what we can do is also fill out around the flower tufts. Right, so there. So maybe it's not necessarily grass. Maybe it's part of the same plant that maybe just doesn't have any flowers on it. So you can see what we're doing there. Also, too, the lighter, you can see how that contrasts with all of the darker colors that are underneath his feet. Also, I like to have sometimes the grass tufts around these branches. And again, those are the 3D printed branches. And I'm starting to feature this stuff in my videos. I had to get the stuff printed. All right. I've got my Luke's ABS glue. I might just a little bit of a couple dots of water. It's been sitting there for a while. Okay. Now I'm going to take some of these leaves. We're going to try and grind these up and crush up these leaves a little bit here. Again, I'm just going to grind those up as best as I can. You could take like a mortar or pestle or something like that and do this, but I'm just going to take my hands here. I've done this with dried tea. Yeah, dried tea leaves, the loose leaf tea for terrain, just on a mass basis. But here again, just using the leftover parts of the leaf that really aren't good for much of anything else. All right, so get our glue back out here. And of course, I would like to focus on where the leaves might just naturally pile up. And again, with the glue being so watered down, the idea is it'll kind of go down into those areas where you would like it to Now here I'm going to try and use a little bit of that new, that's the AK Interactive flock there. Just haven't used it before. Okay. There is again a reason why I didn't bother painting any of that, because I wanted to do something like this with either the leaves or the flock. Here I'm going to maybe throw some of this. Now I also have some of my, that's the forest floor ground cover from Luke's APS. I like to combine lots of different things. Layers. It's not just for painting. Layers also could be for your bases too. Now there's a whole big area right over here that's underneath the weapon there. Again, I didn't bother painting any of that because, well, I thought it would be a whole lot more interesting, well, to see stuff like this. Some leaves. And now some flock here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go with, this is some of that. Again, the Luke's APS, the forest floor. And then go with some of this more green flock on top of that. And even throw a little bit of the other stuff. Look at this. I'm going to take a mix of all of the above. Scatter that over the top. So lots of different things happen in there. Another area right here, maybe even a little bit on the rock itself, kind of a mossy look. And then here's the, right there, see this gap here? Boom. In goes the glue. Same over here. There was nothing there, but now there's going to be color, texture. Same out here, right? I think of how many hours I've spent painting areas like that, only to realize, yeah, that wasn't necessary. It really wasn't. So again, this is the AK Interactive. And now we're going to add some of our, yeah, look at that. Look at all those different, and see, now it's a nice little complement. I did put some greens in his skin tone, actually warmer greens, because I knew that I was going to add some stuff like this. Now I'm also going to throw just a little bit up here, again, to kind of maybe create the mossy look. Now let's go with this. Let's go with that and then see what that looks like. Now here I'm just going to take the ground cover. So yeah, see, I kind of actually like that darker green mix in that particular area. Now there's only the one larger branch here. I wanted to see if maybe I could add a little bit of moss to that. Now I thought this again was a bit finer. This is again the Luke's APS, or sorry, this is the 8K Interactive. I don't want that to look like it's got, fur on it or something. So that is definitely not as fine as I thought it was. To me, no finer grain than this. It seemed that way out of the package, but in practice, it's a little different. I think I got one last area that I'm thinking about right here. One last spot. And I'm just going to take, again, this mix of everything. Leaves, ground cover, flock. It's all going in. And there it is. Now, there is going to be kind of a gallery of the miniatures in the closing credits, so you can see them there. If you really want to see the finished images, my Instagram, he will be going up on Instagram very soon. And that's another play where a lot of the things that you see featured in videos, you can check them out on my Instagram account. That's just Wapelius, right? Wapelius, just like my Twitch channel. And again, I'm going to include the links where some of these guys were painted so that you can see that too. Now, I do appreciate you if you made it all the way through. Oh, wait. There's a little gap over here. If you made it all the way through, I do appreciate that you have watched this video. I hope this just gives you some ideas. You don't necessarily have to use all of these things or in this particular way. But I think, I don't know, I think it could be kind of helpful for you. It's, again, instead of painting a lot of the rocks and everything. Why not just add all this fun color and texture that you just can't do with a brush? Couldn't do that with a brush, but I could do it with again, things like the Luke's APS, Armored Wolf, right? The replica nature, a little AK Interactive, Woodland Scenics here, and just some leaves. Speaking about nature, just leaves. So if you could do me a favor, maybe do the whole like and subscribe and click the bell and all those other crazy things that all of us YouTubers beg you to do. I just hope that you had fun with this and that this is going to make basing just a little bit more fun for you, right? Instead of just the same old Tufts that you see all the time, maybe a little bit further, right? Taking it just a bit beyond the minimum. So thanks again, everybody, for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.